Hello, my name is Lizzie Kennedy, and I've been an undergraduate tutor at the SVSU Writing Center for 3 years, and I've served as a student coordinator for the Community Writing Center for 2 years. Welcome to another SVSU Writing Center video on tutoring writing. Today I'll be talking about the writing process and ways you can help students navigate it, keeping in mind that your role is to be a tutor and not an editor or proofreader. As Stephen North said, your job is to make better writers, not better papers. If you've been chosen to be a tutor, it's a pretty safe bet that you are a good writer. You know the writing process. You know about brainstorming, drafting, revising, editing, and proofing. You know the differences between these stages. You know they overlap, and you know that the process is circular and cyclical. It's important to remember that not all writers know all this, or they have some preconceived notions. You may have some preconceived notions too. You know what works for you, but we have to remember that your preferred techniques might not work for others, and they might not work in every situation. For that reason, it's good to review the writing process and think about all your options. For example, consider brainstorming. When it comes to brainstorming, do you like to just generate lists? Or do you prefer mapping or webbing? Are you an outliner? Or do free writing and pre-writing work best for you? Some writers only know of one way to brainstorm, and you may need to teach them of other ways. You, however, shouldn't assume that your preferred way is their preferred way. Similarly, you need to remind others that writing is circular. They may need to brainstorm again once they have a complete draft. Maybe one section of the paper isn't working. Maybe they're really saying the same things twice in 2 body paragraphs. Or maybe one section of the paper is really lacking in evidence. Some writers think about the writing process as very linear. If it is a traditional 5-paragraph essay, they know the final draft will appear in this order: title, intro, thesis, body paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 with corresponding topic sentences and examples, and then the conclusion. They may not realize, however, that they might not know the full and complete thesis until they've written the full paper. Writing, after all, is often a process of discovery and meaning-making. Similarly, writers may not realize that while a text is read in a particular order, it doesn't have to be written in that order. Someone may start a draft by skipping the intro and writing out their body paragraphs first. Personally, I tend to like writing intros, so I'll often play with that first. I feel like it's a place where my creativity can come through, but when it comes to the thesis, I leave some empty space. I may not know my full argument yet. I know it will change, so those blanks remind me to come back and revisit that section. I know my first draft is not my final draft. However, when I'm tutoring students and they're struggling to write a strong thesis or introduction, I encourage them to write that section last, after they feel confident with their body paragraphs and can write a more comprehensive introduction. It's all about finding which techniques work best for each individual's writing process. Some writers tend to write just one draft and think that they're done. They might think typing up a draft is revising, but if they aren't really changing what they've written, they're merely transcribing. They don't consider where they are being unclear, and they know what they meant to communicate, but they aren't necessarily thinking of where to add or delete information. They may not even remember that a thesis can change over time. They may not be used to revisiting topic sentences. They may think one piece of evidence per point is enough. Less experienced or confident writers may also not have realized that a revision of a paper is truly that, thinking of ways to revision a paper. Drafting means getting ideas down, but revising means making sure that you are checking off higher order concerns like organization, development, coherence, clarity, and fulfilling the task. Think about when you have been involved in a formal peer review session. It isn't and shouldn't be just about proofing. Peer review is ideally about considering how others might view a topic differently. As a tutor, you are giving that other perspective. Some students will also worry that every sentence has to come out perfectly when they are drafting. They are so focused on correctness that they can't get their ideas out. They'll need assurance that it's okay to get their ideas down first. You can remind them that they can add, cut, and fix later in the process. Many students tend to get hung up on proofing. When we draft, revise, and edit, we are deleting and adding more evidence, rearranging paragraphs, maybe changing the thesis so it fully and accurately reflects the outline of a paper. Proofing, however, is really about correctness of grammar, spelling, and documentation. Ideally, it really only happens when everything else is in place. In this way, proofing is often dealing with lower order concerns. One of the texts we rely on in our center is the Allen and Bacon Guide to Peer Tutoring. The authors, Paula Gillespie and Neil Lerner, devote a whole section of the book to the writing process. They make a really neat move when discussing these stages. They start off by describing what they call the planning stage, and they claim the following list, taken directly from their book, are appropriate questions a writer should ask themselves at this stage. What do I know about my topic? What is the purpose for writing? Who are my intended readers, and how much do they know about my topic? How is this task like others I have had before? And what structure will work best for my topic? Then, Gillespie and Lerner argue these questions are also appropriate to ask at subsequent stages. At each stage, they are also asking the writer to think about their message, audience, and medium. The founder of the SVSU Writing Center, Diane Bohm, used to say that good writing is good thinking made clear. Asking the above questions throughout the writing process helps make that happen. And with slight modifying, the above questions can be used by tutors to approach tutoring in a non-directive way. Gillespie and Lerner also offer some practical advice to help you as tutors remember that your job as tutor is not to just proofread and edit. They make this distinction in the following table from their book by comparing tutors and editors in the publication world. Effective tutors follow the second column. The beauty of tutoring is that the writer is there with us. We can have a conversation with them. In a way, tutors help writers get to the point where they can tutor themselves. By having conversations about writing and being non-directive, we show writers how to ask themselves questions and to identify and deal with higher order concerns on their own. We teach them to imagine other readers and think about how those readers might react to arguments and assertions that the writer makes. Tutors teach writers to anticipate objections, and tutors teach writers to be able to see what is working well and what could be improved. Here are some additional questions to ask yourself when thinking about the writing process and how tutoring differs from editing. In a school environment, students may be sent to a center because a teacher insists that students need help with grammar. How will your center deal with that? Many tutors naturally want to fix errors. How can you ensure you don't do that in a session? What handouts or support materials should your center have to help at each stage of the writing process? And which are the most important to have first? Thank you for watching this video on tutoring writing, and good luck as you move forward. Remember that you can find more information about our services at svsu.edu/writing center or at communitywritingcenter.com.